Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, LoneStarMopars.com. It is Monday, 7 p.m. This is the earliest I can recall not being at work in an eternity. And, we're celebrating by taking a look at this. This will be KC Tool Haul number 3, or unboxing number 3, however you want to heard it. Before we get into that though, if you recall a while back when we ordered in the Wiha Big Deal, I got these Terminator bits from them. And it dawned on me as I was unboxing all that stuff that I didn't get something. That's because it was on back order. That's this little Wiha bit holder right here, and that's what that looks like. So had that sitting on the hood of the Duster. Figured I'd go ahead and show it to you. But we finally got around to this. There were multiple times I was going to order, and it was just a situation where stuff was either out of stock or I was having to get something from Amazon anyway. And hey, we got it lined up though, and I will tell you why. Here's we take a look at everything. So once again, this will just be where we quickly still kind of suck at that, but it's probably why you're not here. So we'll just kind of quickly showcase this and maybe talk a little bit about them, and then a couple of these we'll probably go into detail later on. So up first, I guess we'll just take it from the top. We have got right here, that's the part number for it, Stahlwille. We've got a really nice freaking scribe here. I actually did a comparison when I was at work. I was stuck solo in the office at the back end of the day, and I had some really cruddy ones. We thought one of the kids, one of our part-timers, had lost the one that we keep at the drill press, and so I ordered in like this 6-piece set, and I issued a bunch of them, kept one in my office. This one is so much different. Now, number one, the one on Amazon, it's got a replacement tip, which you'll probably never be able to find, in all honesty. And it's probably cheaper and more cost effective to bring in another pack of 6 than get the tip anyway. But this one is so much heavier, and surprising to me is the fact that it was kind of chromed. It's not something I expected. In fact, I don't even think I saw this while I was checking out and something popped up. The one that I had in my cart was from Gedore, and this one was about half the price. Now I will say these little pin tabs right here, I know this from soapstone holders and all kinds of stuff. They will kind of tear up some pockets on crappy shirts, so keep that in mind. But this thing is super nice. I actually like the holder as well. Kind of makes it a good deal. I think this one was a little around 7 and change or so. So pretty excited. We'll see how that thing stacks up over time. Up next, sticking with that theme, and I did a comparison video. I shot it on my phone at work, and I can't believe that the phone never rang, because that's typically what happens anytime I've tried that. But sticking with the theme here of Stahlwille, we have got that part number right there, and we have got what it simply says, a steel wire brush. Now, typically what I run in the past, like at work, I've ordered Mintcraft. I've been pretty happy with it. As you can see there, 12374 would be the short part number. This one's pretty nice. It's got a funky shape, right? We typically, American wire brushes, are typically square, they're rectangular, right? This one kind of even comes to a point. We have that like diamond tip at the front. I did like a breakdown of the wire counts and everything in that video. But it's an interesting, you can kind of see it's not damaged. Its design is kind of bent like that, which typically when you're brushing something, you want that. That's going to give you like more leverage. So I'm pretty excited to see how this one stacks up. I plan to, if all goes well, next chance I get some time in the shop, I will be in the charger, and the floor pans, as they come up towards the rockers, there's what they call like a wire gutter. A lot of people probably rebuild their cars, and if they were gone, don't know that they're supposed to be there. Serves two purposes. Number one, it's just kind of like a fold-over tray to protect your wire looms and loose wires running front to back of the car. Two, it actually is kind of support for the carpet, and AMD repops them. But they're pretty well shot on the driver's side. I guess probably just from like car washes over the years, or maybe the car sat for some time with a window down or bad seals. I'm not exactly sure, but I will put that thing through the ringer. We'll see how it holds up. So up next, this is from Felo. Again, I have had really good luck with the stuff I brought in from Felo. This case isn't quite as good as I thought it would be. It's actually still pretty damn good, but I just kind of expected something, I guess, along the lines of like their bit boxes I've been getting, right? The part number there, if we can get that to focus, we'll probably assume it's 250-96186. Now, if you're thinking, wait, you know what? I thought that stuff was red. Typically it is, but these are the ESD versions, right? And so essentially, what that's going to do, number one, I thought I could use these as a pointer in videos, which that's a stupid reason to have anything, but I think it will come in handy. And I thought that this was a better color scheme, but number two, not only will this give me a good quality set of precision screwdrivers, but at the same time, I do build my own computers from time to time. I upgrade stuff for friends, and these are blue and white, if you will, kind of the grayscale color scheme, because they are ESD screwdrivers, so that's kind of cool. Basically what that means is that we're not going to emit static discharge, right? Coming up next, I guess we'll just keep going in order. I wanted this for a long time, and it was always out of stock, and then the 10-inch one is like never in stock. I think next time I place an order, I'll just go ahead and put it down. But what happened, I've been having to do a lot of work at my sister's house, and her tools suck. And so I've got great stuff, but typically I don't know that when I go over there I'm going to be winding up working on something. It probably happens a lot more than you would think. This is 60S8JP, and what this is, it's a black phosphate adjustable wrench. Now it is obviously metric, but I like this one because they do a breakdown on the website. Kind of explains what the different designations mean. If you hate the handle, the padded handle, which I don't know why you would, but if you do, you can get it just in the as cast version, right, without the handle. But for the money, and this is, I believe, made in China, it rolls pretty decent. I mean, honestly, all I have is Craftsman stuff. Actually, I think I have a Crescent, and then I have a couple Craftsmans I inherited from my grandfather. But this one opens up, as you can see there. We got about 25 millimeters, I'd say, and I would like to get a larger one. I think even the larger one might be limited to 25 millimeters. Don't hold me to that. But, I'm still an SAE man at heart. So the bottom line, though, what typically happens, I've got my socket set in the truck, so I always have that covered, but then I need something to hold the bolt on the other side, right? My sister's adjustable wrench, which granted I gave her, but I kind of intended it for stuff like tightening a nut on the Christmas tree, right? And that sort of type of a deal. Very, very light, just generic home use, essentially. I got tired of using that. And it's basically, I was having to readjust the backboard, a basketball goal. It's super freaking windy here, if you were unaware, and it wreaks havoc on that. And I was coming in having to tighten everything down, and I wanted this. So it's going to go in a box, and it will probably be staying in that box and residing in my truck. So Channel Lock does have some padded ones. It's just a thing where I've never actually seen them. Thought my phone was ringing. Everyone always says, like, oh yeah, I just run into my local hardware store, get the Channel Lock. I don't have that here. Like, I can get the basic stuff, but there's nothing past, like 909s, wire cutters, and just base pliers. So I'm kind of in that predicament, I suppose. But hey, here's our bit of things right here. Is it still Felo? Let me check. I'll pull it up here, save you the trouble. Yes, it is. Felo number 2, so that's awesome. We're racking those up. Can never have too many number 2 bits, really. This right here I wanted to order a long time ago. The good news is I still need it, and if you're like, what the heck is that stupid thing? Or, what did you buy this for? Well, if you look at it, Stahlwille, this is a 12975 fuel hose clamp. So essentially, and I think this will work on my socketless hose. I have a piece of socketless somewhere. But like if you have a rubber hose, particularly say small engine stuff like a lawnmower, weed eater, that sort of a thing, instead of you having to drain the tank, right, because ethanol eats everything, so if your line is still somehow good, you basically swivel this around and then you can pinch down on your line, right? Let me actually, I have all the fittings back here. Here's a piece of it. No, that's rubber. Dadgum. This workbench is a bit of a mess right now. Well, I know it'll work on rubber. So, essentially, you would have this, right? And if this is, say, loaded down with some craptacular ethanol that we get at the pump, I can just compress this to the point, and I've seen the pliers. I know people that have the plastic pliers that won't cut your line, and they just clamp it. I don't like those. I've seen them fail. I've seen them be on and then pop off and create huge messes, particularly like if you're doing like ATF stuff, maybe installing a trans cooler. That's not good. This, simply enough, just compresses light duty hose. So, believe it or not, I'm excited to try it. So I swear somewhere on this workbench there is socketless hose, and I had it here. I've been wanting to buy this for a very long time. Is it under the wire brush? Yes, it is actually. So I just simply put the wire brush on it. Now, the thing is, the rubber hose that I just showed you, this is what you typically got, you know, most standard cars or, you know, standard repair shop stuff and small engines. Stuff on the top, that's some expensive crud. That is Aeroquip socketless hose, right? This is kind of a step above. It's sort of, wouldn't say impervious to ethanol, but you'll need to be in one of the bigger positions here. You can see that jam nut's almost backed off. I want to know if this will compress this at all, and it might not be a great use of this product. I've never actually really tried to compress this stuff. It looks like it's going. My view of air, the box if you will, is gone from that side. If I flip this around, I don't see anything out of that, so it does actually work here. It's probably not ideal. It's going to work really, really well on rubber. So if you're like me and you've got socketless stuff, it will apparently do the job. Now, it does seem to have left a bit of a divot in it. Not sure if you can pick up on that or not, and it might just pop back into shape there, but once again, it did the job, so hey, looks like we'll be okay. Obviously, that's not something you would use all the time, but let's say you've got a fuel cell in your race car, you got a frame-mounted pump. Instead of you having to drain the tank or disconnect it there and, you know, plug it or use those stupid pliers that never work, you can get this. I think it was around 13 bucks, but I mean, if it does its job, it's well worth it. So I'm pretty happy with that and excited to give it a go. Up next, we will stick with that theme. We'll stick with the Stahlwille, right? And this is something, this was the tool of the day not too long ago, and I meant to place an order then, and I didn't get to before midnight. It was a long night, needless to say. And what this bad boy is just a 1/4 inch drive handle. And I'm trying to see, there's not a good place for me to cut this. I've got my good box cutter over across the shop because I bought some Husky shelves, which the first set was fantastic. Second set doesn't have the steel braces, and that raised some alarm, and so I emailed Edsel, that's who manufactures these things, and apparently they do this all the time. I thought they had downgraded them, and I was just going to scold the woman. And supposedly what happens, I guess I had the improved version when I bought them a couple months ago, and they're still shipping the previous version, which doesn't have the steel supports. So I requested the steel supports, and I'll just have to cut my own slots apparently. But heads up, if you're buying that stuff from Home Depot, they're pretty solid shelves. People complain about them all the time, but it's almost like a home grade pallet rack sort of. If you do go that route, make sure there's the steel supports in there. Now this thing, like I said, it was tool of the day. I missed it. I think that cost me like $5 to $7. I think it was 12 bucks. I mean, it was tool of the day, and of course I missed it, so I paid 19. So, as you can see, there's a black button for quick release. If you don't have nut drivers, like if that's not something that you would use super often, you're like, oh well, you know, I'd like them, but I'm kind of on a budget. This will get you by, and what this is going to allow you to do, instead of using a ratchet and having to spin, especially like if it's tight clearance here, like say an intake manifold or some valve cover type of thing, and you have to just get 3 clicks every time. If you're able to come in from above, you can use this kind of like as a speed handle, which again, a lot of people don't have. A lot of people don't even know what speed handles are anymore. But this actually feels really good in hand. I wish it was bigger. I'll say that. This is 1/4 drive. I don't know if they make this in 3/8 drive, but that would kind of be overkill, I guess, probably why. But if it was, I feel like it would take up the space here a little bit better. Granted, when you get back here, and I'm just using it in this manner, kind of like a precision screwdriver, not bad, but I gotta say, I like this thing better than I thought I would, and I was, had high hopes, so not disappointed. That's always good. Coming in next, I should have done this one earlier, it's not that cool, but maybe it is, I don't know. This is another brush from Stahlwille. This one, if we spin it around, that's going to be their long number. If you're buying from KC Tool Co., you can probably get by with 12377. Brass coated steel wire brush. Basically, this is kind of like a caliper brush, if you will. Ah-ha-ha. And be leery, it does stick out of the bag. I can't tell you how many pieces of this stuff I have in my hands. Probably still many of them there. Maybe that's why I set off the metal detectors. But that previous brush, the steel wood-handled brush, you're going to tear some stuff up with that. This one, it's a little less abrasive, I guess would be the way to put it, but it's got that bend in it, which is kind of cool. Again, if you do this, wear gloves. I can't stress that enough, because this crud, you don't ever think it's going to happen, and then you wind up and you like pull your hand up and you've got 2 or 3 strands of metal in you. That's never fun, because then they break off. It's a long story, I know from personal experience, but that's a very interesting handle I was kind of drawn to as well. But there it is, and I gotta say, I'm looking forward to trying it again. I'm kind of planning to just lightly dust with this. I know that sounds stupid, but I've got painted calipers, and I'm just kind of hoping this knocks off some of the heavier brake dust. Like say you can't detail the car for a while and you've got it down, if you can just kind of come in, clean off the crud, and kind of get back to the base paint, I think we'll be in good shape with that. So we will stick with the Stahlwille theme here, and this is pretty cool. Now I thought this had changed. Let me start here. So what is this, you ask? Oh, it's a pin. I just thought it was cool. That's why I got it. So it's a twist one. I was not sure how it would operate, but twist. Does it write in blue? I doubt it. It's probably black. Wait, is that blue? I can't tell. Let me grab the invoice here, or packing slip, I should say. Oh, it's blue. Awesome. I didn't even know, but that is blue. If you're like me, blue over black, right? So something simple. I think it was like right around $2. Nothing major. Just sort of cool. So, and that's kind of what this is. And what this is of course, you've seen me if you're like, hey, I think I've seen that before. Well, that's because you have. I've opened one up. There's a problem though. When I opened this stuff up at work, I thought this looked different. Like it wasn't as bright of a white maybe. And as I'm looking back there, maybe it's not. I'll pull it out, but I don't use this for my car, but what I do use this for is a remove before flight if you run away, which is pretty sweet. And it does have the metal ferrule here, so it's not going to just tear the fabric. What I found is awesome with this thing is I put toolbox keys on it. And then, you know, typically if you don't have a tag on your keys, you lose them easier. Oh, it was way different. Dang it, I was right. Okay. So I've got a bunch of keys here to toolboxes on this one, but I want you to pay attention. This is more like the traditional every key ring I've ever had, right? Type of a clasp. This one is like the flat kind, and I don't know that I like it. You can see the size difference there. This is the brand new one. There's flies all over me for some reason. I don't like this one as well, man. I don't, and I felt like this one had a brighter white. Maybe it didn't. Let's see. Can you spot a difference? I think it is actually a little whiter. I don't know that the camera is going to show it entirely, but in my opinion, the top one, which is older and has the style of a keyring I prefer, the white's just like a little bit more vibrant. It's one of those deals at work. Went to buy some paper from Quill, and they were out, and so they upgraded us for free to this HP Ultra White stuff, right? And you print on white paper, and you think it's all the same until you like get it in and you look at it, and you're like, man, we were printing on this, 80s yellow crap this entire time or something. That's kind of what I feel this is, just subtly different. Now I'm going to flip it over. Now the new one will be on the bottom. That looks more the same. But I feel like the front is really where we've got the difference. That fly, I'm telling you. If there's German fly swatters, I'd love to try one out right now. They're slightly more efficient. Now the other thing in here, I've wanted this guy for a long time too, but it was always out of stock. What is it? Is it super cool? What tool is that? It's a magnet. I just thought it was neat, and I'm going to put it on the toolbox. I actually prefer magnets over stickers just because they're not permanent. You know, if you ever upgrade toolboxes, you can switch them around, that sort of a thing. You could throw this on the refrigerator, and your girlfriend or wife might not even notice for a while. So that's another El Cheapo thing. I think it's like sub $2, and like I said, it's just always been out of stock when I've ordered before. Coming up next, this is actually the reason for the purchase, and I hope these things work. This is obviously Knipex stuff. It is 9722-240, and the reason I bought this, it's not because it had the cool handles, it's not because I was going to throw it in the box that I take it in my truck so I have it when my sister makes me do stuff. Nope. Right here, the midsection, they've got a ton of different crimping pliers, by the way, just like this, but all subtly different. Right here, the 1.5, the 2.5, and the ISOL. What that is for me, that's an open barrel terminal crimper. I've recently bought an Astro ratcheting one specifically for that, and I wasn't really happy with the results. It might be because I've never done them, and I was running out of practice terminals, and I don't want to screw up the ones that I need. I wanted just a standard plain Jane old school style crimper, like the Channel Lock 909s, and the problem is with the open barrel stuff, it's hard to find. And so I found this one and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give that a go, and if that doesn't work well for me, which I think it will, we can strip wires, and then right up here we can cut wire, but then my good old-fashioned insulated stuff, red, blue, and yellow, all color-coded. I don't even need metric. You know, I got 22, 18, 16, 14, 10 to 12. I can crimp that for sure, but this is the selling point right there, the open barrel terminal stuff. So, in fact, I've got some right here, if you're unfamiliar with them. I'm having a nightmare of a time. I've never had to do anything with them before. I mean, I've worked with them, but they've always been like terminated. I was just building the plugs, basically. So I guess the back one gets crimped first around the wire as a strain relief, and then the front one, of course, covers up your copper. So I've got faith in you, Knipex. Don't let me down. That's all I can say there. Now, right here, if you're like, man, haven't you had these before? No, I bought a 7-inch set, and I absolutely love them. All the hype that you hear about these, people fangirling about them, I can see why, because they're badass pliers. That's just the best way for me to shorten it, make it sweet and short, condense it, whatever you want to say, succinct. These are just really, really good pliers. These are kind of the comfort grip version, of course, but dang, they're good. I did buy the Channel Lock kind of knockoffs of this, and they're okay, but these are just, they're awesome. And this is a 10-inch version, and I don't know. I might try to complete they've got little 5-inchers that I kind of think would be handy for some things. I might buy another one of these 10-inch ones and just put in that mobile box I was talking about, but they're pretty freaking sweet. If you've ever heard people, you know, bragging about their Knipex stuff, or you hear them talk about Cobras and you're like, no, they're not that good. They are. They're pretty freaking awesome. So there is that. Now, right here, the day that I ordered, this was the tool of the day, and it was on significantly cheaper than it usually is. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because I need pliers in that box too. If you're familiar with NWS or you've watched the channel, you know that I brought in some of their freaking sci-fi looking ones, which I think just look awesome. They're almost one of those things, it's like you don't want to use them because they look so cool. And the feedback I've gotten from people, the majority of you anyway, is that you love the NWS look too, and that's why you bought it, but then you're kind of disappointed by them. I've used mine lightly, because I'll be honest, I mainly use the Channel Locks. I need to make a point to use them a little bit more, but I've not really had any major issues with them. Now, this one doesn't have the cool sci-fi comfort grip handles, right? But I'm going to throw this in the box and see how it goes. We can ream with it, we can cut. It's just general purpose plier, basically. And honestly, having used Channel Locks and Kleins for years, you know, with this style of, you know, like plastic sort of, you know, textured handles, if you will, I don't have any problem with them. Now, I prefer the super cool looking sci-fi with the fancy coatings, but this one will work too. So tool of the day, saved me quite a bit of money there, and it will go in a box. Now, if you recall, when we've taken a look at our Vera Multicolored Hex Keys here recently, I told you it's amazing. They've got like standard hex keys, no ball in, no hex plus, none of that fancy stuff, for like under $5. Well, this is one of them, and this thing's price at KC Toolco, $414, which is pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Where this one really shines, in my opinion, is it's got the small hex sizes, right? That's something that has plagued me. It's a pain in the butt. You've seen my Craftsman stuff in the bags I have to dump out, and this has the style of holder, which I've kind of grown to like. Flip it out, what do we have? We've got 10, 8, and 6 is our big studs there. And then we've got a 5, 4, 3, 2.5, 2, and what is that? 1.5. Okay, so basically 1.5, 2, 2.5. It's easily visible, readily available, standard hex. The finish on these, again, this is not ball end. This is not their Hex Plus. It has no locking features. This is just a really well done cheap L key, right? So I'm excited about them. Now, I did put in the video description on the SAE set that we took a look at, or was it the metric one? I may have not released the SAE yet. Anyhow, I found that Vera actually has a set that has a magnetizer in this portion of the units. So if you're interested, or you're, you know, updating all your L keys, hex key stuff, check that out. That's kind of a cool deal. But now, continuing on in that trend, and this ties in with previous stories as well, Final item in the box. We've got this from Wiha. It is ball-end hex keys. It's combo SAE and metric. This is made in Germany. Our yellow is going to be SAE. The red is going to be metric. And if you're thinking, man, what is your deal with this stuff? I'll tell you. Just mentioned how I'd been going to my sister's and I always wind up doing something. And, you know, it sucks when you don't have the tool. Well... It was, what was it, a weight bench? I think a Marcy weight bench I put together for my nephew. That thing, it's actually pretty good quality, but the tools they gave sucked. And I don't roll around in the truck with all these like super fancy multicolored hex keys. That stuff stays in the shop. And again, I didn't know I was going to need it because it wasn't included on the parts list, but I did look at ahead of time. But right here, these are going to go in a box, and I'm going to have a good quality set of Hex Keys Metric and SAE, primarily Metric being the newcomer for me. But they will be ball in like I'm accustomed to, that I'm used to using, that doesn't round out the cheap fasteners that you always get with this pre-built, ready to assemble type of stuff. And this one, it looks like we've got 0.050, so we've got the tiny little guy right there. I don't even know if you can see that on my index finger. That's what that one is. 1/16, 5/64, 3/32, 7/64, 1/8, 9/64, 5/32. Spin it around. I love that it goes left to right still. That's a nice touch in my opinion. If I can get that to focus for you. That's about as good as we're going to get. 3/16, which I seem to use that all the time. 7/32, quarter, 5/16, all the way up to 3/8. That's a pretty impressive set right there, right? And then you come in and you replicate that on the metric side of things. Boom. There we go. We start at 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10. When I complained about it, I didn't really complain, but I was like, it's strange the 7's not included. I had somebody comment on that video and they said that everything they do is metric, and they've only needed 7 one time. It was like for an Alfa Romeo brake caliper. My Craftsman set, for whatever reason, includes a 7. That's actually where it stopped. And anytime you see discrepancies like that, you sort of like stop and wonder why. So that was the explanation I got. I guess it's just rarely, if ever, used, which probably means I'll run into it the next time I have a big metric socket cap fastener or something. But the branding on this is good. The lettering, it's not rubbing off now, so I don't think it will. Now here's the big one. How does it slide out? I like that this sort of has a bolster, and that's actually pretty smooth. Now on the sides of these keys, if you look there, it's actually pretty easy to read. It's coming through great on the camera. So that's got the size, a 10, Wiha, 369 CRV, and the country of origin, which is Germany. How well does it go back in? Pretty smooth. So once again, ball end, I learned at a young age that that's pretty much a necessity if you're doing a lot of stuff with socket cap screws. I've got metric here, yellow dot, we've got SAE. Gonna throw that in sort of like the mobile toolbox. Just basically, I've always driven around, you know, I've got like the hammer, the pliers, tie downs, basic hand tools. The L keys I think will be a nice addition, and then the adjustable wrench, which I don't quite understand why I didn't have an adjustable wrench. I guess because I thought that was stupid, and you know, I'd just get by with the sockets and back-sided, if you will. But gonna go that route and set it up in that manner. But also included, of course, we got our swag here. I was actually supposed to get a t-shirt, and it was super late. And I don't think I submitted it. I think you have to like click a button and like then it gets added to your order. So that was kind of my bad, but hey, it is what it is. I'd probably prefer a banner. I've got the t-shirt. Unless the design changed, then you gotta get the new t-shirt there. But got another NWS sticker. 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 KC Toolco stickers. And they're actually really good stickers. Kind of like them. But this one I don't believe I've had before, and it's fitting for the order because so many of the items, they weren't necessarily the most expensive by any means, but we got a bunch of them. So we got ourselves a Stahlwille or Villa or Stahlwille, whatever you want to say. Got that there. So KC Toolco, if you did not know, they actually did a video where they go over how to properly pronounce all these names, and if you're curious, check it out, and then you can probably complain that they're not doing it correct either. But bottom line remains, they're pretty sweet tools, and that's why we bring them in. So some of this stuff we'll kind of do like a more in-depth look at here as we go, but And this honestly was kind of the one thing that wasn't really needed. It's just so cheap, and I kind of wanted to see what it was like. I mean, under $5 for that. Man, this just timed out on me, and I don't know where I stopped because I wasn't looking at the screen. But pretty excited to try all this stuff. Again, the main reason I bring this stuff in is just because we need it, and the thing that necessitated the purchase this time, right here, my open barrel terminal crimpers, which I hope do a really good job. So everything else was just kind of collateral, bringing it in, having some fun with it. A lot of it's going to go into the mobile box, which again basically is for me to have good tools whenever I do stuff for other people, and some of it will be destined here for the shop. And like I said, we'll take a look at some of this stuff here in more detail in the future. But right now, this is just kind of a boom. Here's what was in the box. What do you think of it? If you've used any of this stuff and you love it or you hate it, by all means, let me know. If it's something you've never seen before, let me know what caught your eye and why. And that is about it for now. So hopefully it won't be this long in between KC tool haul videos. There's actually several things I had in my cart, and they were back ordered for, the dates were pretty far out. And I didn't really want to have to wait too terribly long on it. But with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you back here for more from the shop. Oh yeah. Freaking sweet. Oh, I'm so happy. All right, this was a much needed addition to the shop. That's like perfect crimps on those, man. That's my first two with this tool. And again, front one would crimp the wire, back one would apparently just grab onto the jacket as sort of like a strain relief. It did it perfect. First try. I love it. God bless you, Knipex, however you're pronounced. These things are pretty legit, man. So again, this is why I brought everything in. This is why I ordered, and that works beautifully.